Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to Victoria Baran's show. We're so happy
We're
that you're
so happy that
here.
you're
As a
Hey,
lot of
Becky, you're going in and out. So let's try that one more time. Guys, it could take us just another quick couple of seconds and we're going to get going.
How is it now?
How is it now?
Better.
Okay.
Okay.
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome, everybody, to
Baran's show. We're really happy that you're
really
with us
happy that you're with us again
today.
today.
And, as a lot of you know, Victoria is a experiment with young celebrities. He's an international.
You know what, Becky? You know what? I'm going to introduce myself because you're going in and out. So I'm going to have to, yeah, your voice is going in and out. Is mine going in and out? Okay. So guys, welcome. This is the Victoria Baran Show for the Z Team, the amazing people who do Z Radical, because we absolutely love that product. We had a Super Saturday this past weekend, and man, it was fun, fun, fun. I know there's people on this call that attended, and I know there's lots of people from around the world that are going to be watching this. So we had a great time. All kinds of good stuff came up with, you know, issues that people have. We talked about product. We just did all kinds of fun things. We heard stories from people. But, you know, today I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the loose ends we didn't get to. But one of the things, you know, I was reading an article about quit your job. Well, it's really not quit your job. It's about getting aggressive about a plan B. Why would I care about that? Well, I got to tell you, there's like 10 reasons why you want to be really serious about a plan B. Longevity being a plan B for many of you. Longevity is a plan A for many of you. And I will tell you, if you ever thought about, you know, maybe you love what you do. Lori, I know you probably love what you do. But to have a plan B like longevity for financial, fantastic. And then you can do all that other stuff that you love to do, all those interactions you have, all the healings you have, all those kind of things. You can do that, but you want to make money because you know what, guys? I don't care what anybody says. It makes money. It takes money to survive in this world today. It's a very busy world, as we know. There's all kinds of opportunities, but I will tell you, it's hard to do opportunities with empty pockets. So we're going to talk about why we want to get aggressive with that plan B. You know, middle class is dead. This guy was talking about that a few weeks prior. He had a friend who manages a $1 trillion business. No joke, a $1 trillion business. If he told us the name, we would automatically, absolutely, totally know it. But this is what's happened when you have $10 million and it compounds, so you can probably kind of figure out who that is, right? So he looks at the window, and he looks at his office window, actually, and he said, "What do you see?" And that person responded, "Well, I don't know. I guess they're empty." What? It's true. All the cubicles are empty because guess what? Middle class has now been hollowed out. All right. When you look closer, empty floors are dark. You know, it's all resourced what? To technology. When was the last time you called a company and you got a human being, well, a human being, period, because you get all these recordings, which drives me crazy personally, or you get someone that you can't understand, right? So now, you know, not all that news is bad, okay? More people entered upper class last year as well. So yes, middle class is going, but upper class is expanding. But it's the new paradigm because I got to tell you, middle class is dead, okay? The biggest provider of mortgages for the past 50 years was Fannie Mae, and their slogan is, "We make the American dream come true." That wasn't just a marketing slogan. Now we use, a lot of us, we believe we can make the American dream come true, but you got to shift as times are shifting. And what's really shifting is, you know what? If you don't have a plan B, there may not be corporate America and all those retirement plans that most of us planned on. You know, I worked for a company for 20 years. You know, is that retirement program going to be there? I don't know. It's pretty doubtful because many of the companies have already basically done away with the 401ks. Okay, technology has replaced people. Most jobs that existed 20 years ago, look around. They don't exist anymore. The entire decade of the century was spent with CEOs on Park Avenue, you know, with their cigars and all that, and talking about how they're going to get rid of dead weight. Well, I'll tell you what, it's the economy. It's the recession. And, you know, our business, I believe, is recession proof. Why? Because people want to be healthy. They want to make money. And our business gives them an opportunity that most people don't have. Corporations don't really like you anymore. It used to be that when you know, people felt good about working for a big corporation. Now they don't so much anymore. You know, there was a big article one day about writers and journalists, radio stations, and it used to be focused on like a person, a superstar. They don't want that anymore. They don't want the superstars. They want to focus on the meat of the information because they know they don't have to pay them as much. You know what? They've also proven, there was a study that says, you know, money doesn't make happiness. But I got to tell you, money takes away a lot of that stress that people have. But they've proven that if a person's salary like increased $5,000, they would spend $2,000 on new features on their car, or they buy a new computer, a better couch, you know, a bigger TV, and then pretty soon all that money they made, that extra, is gone. So in other words, you don't stay at the job for safe salary increases over time because chances are it's going to be eaten up. Number 5 was count right now how many people can make a major decision that can ruin your life. Got a story for you. Iggy and I own a telecommunications company, and I will not tell you the company name, but I can just tell you there isn't a human being more than likely on the planet, even little kids, that haven't heard of this company. So we had this huge deal going, and I had been working on it for a long time. And next thing I know, and I mean, literally, we were signing the papers the following week for this station to come up on our towers, on our telecommunications site. And what happened was this gentleman who was in charge of this station decided that he was going to do some unethical things, and ended up having, I guess you might say, an affair. Well, the gal who is very wealthy and owned that company found out. So he was the decision maker on our deal, right? Because he was the decision maker, she found out, she got his butt fired that day. Okay, and she made sure he no longer had the decisions. And I mean, she made phone calls, and pretty soon he went from president of that division to nothing. So do you see how that ripple effect? Who would have ever thought that this person having an affair would have a ripple effect on my personal income, on Iggy's personal income, on literally multi-million-dollar deal? Who would ever have thought of that? And I got to tell you, there's lots of people, whether you end up with a boss at your job that you don't really like, someone who's abusive, you lose your pay. Those are things you can't control. But there is one thing you can control, and that's your choices that you make every single day to move your business forward and take this plan B to a plan A. Because if you have this as a plan A, you can do all the things that you love as soon as you want to do them, but you've got to have money in order to do that, right? I mean, you got to ask yourself, which was number 6, is your job satisfying your needs? All right. Is it your physical needs, your emotional needs? What's it doing? The only time this person talks about that he had a job when he had to do little work so that he had time to do things on the side. With this particular career that you and I have picked, if we do this not as a hobby, but we do this as the multi-million-dollar opportunity it is, it's going to give us the time we want. I mean, look at the people in our business that travel all over and get to do the things that they want to do because they put together the perseverance that they had. They put together the daily practice. They learn, they teach, but they learn. None of us know it all. And if we're smart, we continue to learn from everybody. See, your retirement plan today, those 401ks, they may not necessarily be, so good. Someone asked me just a few minutes ago, actually, Becky, are we still on? I got some kind of connect thing that just went on.
No,
It does say live, but
No,
you're good. I was just turning my thing off.
I was just
Water, I'm coughing.
okay. You know what? You're not only an entrepreneur, but in our company, we're able to make a vast, vast difference in people. And you know what? Excuses, oh my gosh, the excuses we give ourselves. I did, the very first thing I did this weekend was ask a question. And that question was, they had an index card, and I said, what is it that holds you back from doing this business? From making this the very best, from getting to the rank that you want, etc. Tell me what that is. And I got to tell you, we got everything from time. I'm afraid I'm not going to be the best leader. I'm afraid I won't be good at it. Most everything boiled down to time and self-esteem issues, because we didn't have them put their names on them. Okay, excuses. I'm too old. I'm not creative. I need this. I need that. You know, I saw an amazing article. Hold on a second here. And I am going to, Becky, can you see that?
Not yet.
not yet.
Takes a sec sometimes.
It's a sec sometimes.
Okay, hold on.
Green.
Green.
Let me try this one more time. Okay. Screen share. Do this. Now can you see it? It has,
There we go. Yep.
there's the ultimate cheat sheet for dealing with excuses. This is one of the best articles I have ever seen. Said, you know what? I don't have enough money to start my business. And even if I started one, I don't have an office. I don't have clients. I'm too shy to make cold calls. I don't have connections or rich parents. I don't have talent. I just got lucky. Nobody's going to hire me. I don't have the right equipment. I couldn't write a book because I don't have a publisher. I couldn't do stand-up because I was afraid people would heckle me. I'm afraid to write a blog post because, gosh, what are people going to think? The gap is all your excuses, because there's always a gap between what I have now and what I would like to have. Anybody who wants a copy of this, I'll be glad to send it to you or send you this link. See, all it takes to close the gap is to work your way through the excuses. That's all it takes. Because your excuses are simply the roadmap that take you from here to there. And good luck on your travels, you know, when you have those kind of excuses. Below are some types of excuses that this particular person that writes this has shown in the past. Well, I don't have money. When I first started my business called Reset, I had no money in the bank at all. And all I had was a very low salary at HBO, but I had a full-time job. It was brutal. He says, I got very creative about finding computers to use, etc. So his solution was to make sure that everyone knew what his skills were, why they were needed. Then he carved out time. Several times this weekend, people would put down there, you know, I don't have time. Don't tell me you don't have time. One of the things that I recommended, and I got to tell you, I'm as busy probably as anybody on this call or anybody on this Google Hangout. And I do lots of stuff. And, you know, I not only own a couple companies, I work longevity 7 days a week. That is my full-time deal. I work it literally, when I say 7 days a week, and most days 10, 12 hours a day, plus run 2 companies, plus have grandbabies and a husband and a humongous home and blah, 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 blah. I'm on lots of boards. I do lots of philanthropic work. And so I'm pretty busy. But you know what? I decided today, I woke up this morning, I thought, I'm too doggone busy. I'm to the point, you know, that old saying about, hey, you get somebody busy, you can, you know, always, that person can always find a place to stick something else. Find that, you know, if you got that project, give it to that busy person. I am kind of like over the edge with that. I've got to make some decisions. I've got to let go, and I never, ever let my longevity business go. If I make a commitment to someone that I'm going to help them, I get up at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and I work on that project so I don't take away from my longevity business. But now it's playing a toll on my physical being because I'm pretty tired. And so I've decided, and even though I take my nutrition, you can only go, you know, the body's meant to get rest and rejuvenation as well. So you have to look at your life and you have to say, okay, what am I willing to sacrifice? What am I willing to give up? And so yesterday I made some calls. This morning I made some calls, and I'm giving up a lot of stuff, and I'm making committees on things that normally I would run that committee. And I've got to make some changes here. And I'm asking you to look and see what you have to make changes on and what excuses you're giving yourself. Because you know what? It's not whatever rank you're at, you can get to the next rank. Okay? You could have a team, but your team is going to do exactly what you do. They are going to mirror you. This particular guy was talking about, well, you know what? One of the excuses he always heard was, I don't have equipment. And he says they met a friend of his yesterday, and he spoke about people doing YouTube videos. He said, well, I'll do it, but I don't have the right camera. So I said to him, hey, you want to borrow my phone? Because any phone in the world has a camera 1,000 times better than what you need for YouTube. It's getting out of that laziness. It's getting out of the, I don't have, okay, how can I create that? I don't have time. Love this one. So let's say you're a single mom with 3 kids and a full-time job. You might not have time to write Harry Potter, but you know what? You can find the time. If you make a list of the people, the prospects that you have, and keep that in your car, and keep that at your computer, and keep that in your wallet or your purse, and the next time you get a cancellation, Lori, and your clients, doesn't show up that day for whatever reason, you take that list out of your purse and you call that. What I do is I have the list, because when I have a schedule on my day timer that says I have a 3-way call, and for whatever reason they need to reschedule that, I'm like, okay, cool. I've got an hour here. Let's build the business for myself as well. So you need to build it for yourself so your team mirrors that. And then you need to also spend, obviously, time dedicated to learning how to do the 3-way calls and doing those. But you never have to put yourself in that position where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not really sure how to do 3-way calls. I'm not really good at getting people enrolled into my business. You know what? What I do is I just do 3-way calls until you figure out, until you're comfortable. And maybe that's a month, maybe that's 2 months, maybe that's 3 months. But I got to tell you, most people in a matter of a month are doing those 3-way calls, and they are closing, putting people in your business just as well as the next person. See, the magic of excuses is that there's always a way to be creative around them. Excuses are the map to your success. We all have obstacles. We just got to view those as opportunities and make it happen. Make it happen for ourselves and realize, you know what, we all do have time, but maybe what we have to do is eliminate, listen to those beautiful chimes. Isn't that nice? I hope you can hear that. Beautiful chimes. I'm sitting here looking out at my gorgeous aspen trees. The winds are blowing. The hummingbirds are here. They're trying to be here because the wind is kind of blowing, but the chimes are blowing. It's just so beautiful. And you know what? We can have a beautiful life in everything we do. It's a choice. Everything we do is a choice. Some of the excuses are, I'm not good enough. I need 1 more year to get better. Oh man, I just got to know more about the product. I just got to know more about, I got to know this comp plan down pat. I got to have it down pat. No, excuses are just that. You are a tour guide, and I cannot emphasize that enough. How about people that say, I don't have a degree? Well, you know what? They're now saying, in fact, Google's HR person even announced that GPAs in school are a waste of time to look at it. And that more and more of their hires are not college degrees. Isn't that interesting? Okay. It used to be that a stranger knew he could cooperate with you if you had that stupid piece of paper. Now that's not the same thing. And in fact, guys, it takes you, the average person, it takes them to age 58 to pay off their loan. I love it when I hear people who say, young kids that say, you know what? And don't get me wrong, I think education is fantastic, but I got to tell you, it's not like it used to be where you spend all that $100,000, take it to age 58, then you're going to be able to have a job paying you that back. Can you imagine if you started a kid out, and we have several in our company, at 12, 13, 14, 18, 20, and what they would be able to accomplish in this business? So let's not blow off that Generation Y. They are an amazing opportunity. See, when Andy Sandberg was starting at Saturday Night Live, he didn't just huddle in the writer's room with everyone else, try to come up with jokes. Too much competition. He took a camera with his buddies and went out and shot Lazy Sunday, which was the first YouTube video to get over 100,000 views. He didn't wait to rise through the ranks, hopefully get a joke or sketch produced. He went out and did it. And that's what we have to do. We have to go out and do it. And somebody said, well, how am I going to be a good leader? Let me tell you how you're a good leader. You start out, so you make mistakes. If you're a good person and you come from your heart, what's the worst mistake you can make? As long as you're truthful, so you don't know an answer to something, that's okay. You're just a tour guide. I think people have more confidence in you if you say, you know what, I don't really know that, but let me check it out and get back to you. So whether you say, how about this one? I don't have the right network. Oh my gosh, all my friends are burnt out. You know, they've all heard all my spiel. Do you really know in your heart of hearts that these products work? Okay, do you know that the business works, that the comp plan works, that you can have it all if you just move forward and do it? You know, Rodney Dangerfield was an aluminum siding salesman, but he really wanted to return a career as a stand-up comedian. He was 50 years old, maybe even older. It was crazy for him to think he would be successful, right? I don't know what was going through his head, but whatever it was, he did the smart thing. He opened up his own comedy club, Dangerfields. It became the most popular comedian or comedy club in New York City. Okay? There's all kinds of people like that. A.J. Jacobs wanted to create the world's largest family reunion. Over 4,000 people. But every day you take tiny steps to what it is that you want. Dr. Wayne Dyer, we talk about his book on intention and some of his other things. And now he had a position out of college. He was in his late 30s. He was set for life. Instead, what did he do? He quit. He loaded the back of his car with a self-help book that he wrote, drove across the country, leaving his books at every bookstore. Everyone he knew thought he was crazy. He's now sold over 100,000 copies of just one of his books, Your Erroneous Zone. Sometimes we think that roadmap is crazy. You know, sometimes we think we don't have enough talent. Guys, none of us are perfect at any of these things, right? This one guy said, you know, he didn't know much, but he studied games from over 100 years earlier and came up with improvements to this chess game. Okay. Then he learned Russian so he could learn the Russian chess magazine and, you know, read the Russian chess magazines and learn the latest opening for his opponents. He played speed chess every day with his teacher so that he would get better. That's what we do. We are professionals, so we train. That's what we do. Okay. Here, let me take the screen share off. Very good.
There you are.
There I am. So I love that ultimate cheat sheet on excuses, because none of these excuses are going to get us to where we want to go. It's okay to take baby steps. Okay. You don't, it doesn't have to be overnight that you're senior vice chairman. If you want to be SCMD, I highly recommend today's the first day of the month. We've got 30 whole days for you to make a plan. Tell us what your goals are. Say, okay, Victoria, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to have an accountability partner. And I'm going to get there every day you know, get to my goals every day. And if you don't, as we talked yesterday, and I'll be glad to send anybody that wasn't on that Google Hangout and on that Super Saturday, be glad to send them our notes, you know, with goal charts in there that says, this is what my goal is. This is what the actual is. By the end of the week, you look at that and you say, okay, well, I made a plan, but you know what? That plan isn't working very well. So I need to reassess that plan. It's okay to reassess that plan and say, you know what? I need to do more. Realistically, I can't do 5. I got an email from one guy that said 5 didn't get me where I want to go. I got to talk to 10 people a day. So you just take a look at it and you reassess what it is that's going to get you to your goal. Because I got to tell you, abundance, true abundance, is never going to come from a job, from a job. True abundance is going to come from learning this business and doing it well. And how do you learn the business? You just do it every day. And you don't beat yourself up, and you congratulate yourself for all the little steps that you do in your life. One of the things I started out the meeting the other night was, you know, ask yourself, if you were arrested for being a network marketer, would there be enough evidence to convict you? Okay. I look around my house, I look at my desk, I know there's enough evidence with all my with all the things that I do. I know there's enough evidence. Is there enough evidence at your house? Let's pretend that every time you're doing something for mankind, a spectacular party is thrown, right? You don't have to die to be honored. You're on stage now with your friends, your neighbors. See them giving you all these accolades for everything that you're accomplishing, for all the people that you're helping to get healthy, for all the people that you're bringing wealth to, because you cared enough and you had it in your cellular, in your whole DNA to move forward and to say, you know what? I'm going to make this happen. I'm helping people. I am going to live. I am a living legacy. Are you making a difference? Are you in it to win it? Let others leave their future to someone else's hands, but not you. That's one of my favorite quotes from Jim Rohn. Let others leave their future in someone else's hands, but not you. You can spend your life any way you want to, but you can only spend it once, by Dwight Thompson. So if you only have today, and you have 86,400 seconds today, what are you choosing to spend it on? So you know what? If you have any questions, Becky, have we gotten any questions on there? And I'm going to unmute this, see if anybody has any questions.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions that we can answer? Anything you want to talk about? Any concerns? Any successes? Anything you want to share? You're more than welcome to share.
Mrs. Charlene,
Hello, doll.
are those charts and things on the replay of your Super Saturday?
No, I will have to send you that. So send me an email and ask me for the training from Super Saturday, and I'll be glad to send you all that.
Okay, I'll do that when I get cleaned off here.
Awesome. And anybody else?
This is Margaret.
Hey, Margaret.
How are you?
It's great to hear you.
Your list, and you want to get new people on the list. What do? Because that's how I feel. That's where I'm at.
Okay, I'm not quite sure I understand, Margaret, but so I think what you're saying is that you want to build your business, but you're not sure how to get people enrolled, or what are you asking me? I'm not sure, honey.
No. I've made my list, and I feel like I've called those people repetitively, and a lot of time, and for some reason, they're exhausted. So I'm like, where do you start again to find new customers?
Okay. All right. Well, let me tell you, in my philosophy, life is an absolute lead. If you go to the bank, you give someone a little root beer belly. You give them a brochure. You listen. You set. Part of the thing, Margaret, if you set your intention every day that everywhere you go, anywhere you are, that people are going to start talking about what their prayer is, what their intention is. I mean, I got to tell you, most people I end up talking to, like, I love garage sales and estate sales. It's every Friday and Saturday. I get up, I set my intention that everywhere I go today in that garage sale, I'm going to find somebody who's throwing that garage sale because they want to make money. Okay, they want to send their kid to church camp. They are on auction. Whatever, those opportunities are going to come my way. The other thing you could easily do is go to free magazines. I have a stack right now in my office. I was going to do this on Saturday, but I ran out of time. It's probably 3 feet high. And I get all these magazines from like local advertisers. Well, I got to tell you, in these, like one's called Mountain Connection up here, in this Mountain Connection, there is all these people who pay for advertising, Margaret. Well, they talk about, they let them write an article about their business, and then they advertise. Well, those people have to pay quite a bit of money. I call those people and I say, you know what? I read your article, Sherry. It was so enlightening. And you know what? I am sure you make all the money you probably want to make. But if I could show you how with just, let's say, a placemat size in your office that you have, that where you're doing your healing work or your chiropractic office or whatever, that you can make an extra 6-figure income, would that interest you at all? I go up to the UPS store. Oh my gosh, up here where I live, and there's only 3,000 people where I live, but the restaurants have little community charts, and those community bulletin boards have all kinds of business cards. I pull one of every single one of those. The other day I was somewhere and this girl had laid Party Light, her beautiful magazines for Party Light all over. So I took her magazine, I took the back page off, and now she's on my desk in order for me to call her. Everywhere I go, I pick up cards. You can Google another perfect one for you, because Maryland is a big conventions place. And so one thing you might want to do is Google trade shows, farmers markets. Yesterday we were going somewhere and we stopped by a farmers market. We picked up all the cards. You don't bug people while they're doing it, okay? Because if they're busy, you don't want to turn them off. But I sit back, I take the card, I watch them interact with people, and then I call them. And like one girl had on a pink sweater and she had this bright red hair. And I called her up and I said, Peggy, I love your red hair. I saw you yesterday at the farmer's market. How did you do? How you liking those farmer's markets? I'm going to try to start going to those, blah, 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 blah. Start to talk to her a little bit and say, the reason I called, I saw that you're selling organic eggs. Obviously, you're into nutrition. I'm sure you're making all the money that you want to make on organic eggs, but how about if I could show you with just a placemat size display that you can make an extra 6-figure income this year? I've never had one not be interested. Okay, so all you got to do, Margaret, with your personality, and you have a big client base as well. When you get a client and you're working with them, ask them for referrals. If they say, I'm not interested, you know what, Mark, Sherry, I really respect you. I understand you're saying you don't have time. I'll tell you what I'm looking for. You give a little bit of example of what you're looking for, and a lot of times people come back and say, you know what, that kind of describes me. Well, I understand if you're not interested. Who do you know that is looking to make extra money today? Who do you know? Gosh, there's one out of every 4 has cancer. 79 million people have diabetes in the United States. Who do you know that might have one of those that might want to get healthier? And they will start thinking, and then pretty soon they're like, well, maybe I might be interested in this. And when you give stories at first, all you're doing is creating curiosity. That's why you got to have an elevator story, I call it. That 30-second story that's going to make them want to come back to you. And well, you know what, Margaret, I would like to sit down with you and get more information. See, we have something that no one else has. And I truly, truly believe that the leads are endless. I mean, everything you do, if you just set, and Margaret, I know you're a beautiful Christian woman. I would do that. I would do that prayer in the morning. Bring those to me. One of the other things that I do sounds a little goofballish, but one of the things I do is I literally, if I'm thinking, man, I need another leg, I just go to bed that night and I say, I just say a prayer and say, put that person's name in my head when I wake up. And when I wake up, I have the name that I'm going to call. But you can, one of the other things you can do is you can Google trade shows like in Maryland. And this one I love. When you Google trade shows and they'll say, yeah, there's a gun show this weekend, or there's a gym show this weekend, or there's a teacher's convention at the convention center. A lot of times it'll give you the exhibitor's name, email, and phone number. Go to the vendor section of it. It always tells you who's going to be there, but I like that when it gives you the phone number and email, how perfect. Now, let's say they're giving a trade show this weekend. That means they're up to their butt getting ready for the trade show. So you don't call them now. You don't call them during the trade show. And you got to give them a few days of rest and to get reorganized and regrouped, okay? And then you call them. There's an RV show in Denver. So what do? I go walk the RV show. It's not just RVs. It's also other vendors. Okay. There is always an opportunity out there. The other thing is, Margaret, you need to look. If you go to the resource center and I'm not sure which tab it's under. It's probably under business training. There is a memory jogger, and that memory jogger will remind you of people that, oh my gosh, yeah, I know a Nikki. I used to know him from years ago. I know a guy that owns an ice cream parlor. I know a guy that owns a UPS store. I know a guy that sold me real estate. I totally forgot about him because I haven't dealt with him in 20 years. But you know what? He had this amazing personality. It's literally, Margaret, it's doing it with every, just with everything you do, and asking for referrals, and then asking your team, like you have Diane on your team, seeing how she's doing, jumping in the foxhole with her and making it happen. Okay, does that make sense to what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, it does. And it, really opened up a lot of different things that I can do as you're speaking. So that's awesome. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Anybody else with any other questions? Okay, well, with that, guys, we are going to end the call today. I absolutely, totally love you to pieces. I am thrilled that you called in today and gave me the opportunity to speak with you. And you know what? We will hear you next Monday. I think we're going to have a guest speaker next Monday, along with myself. But in the meantime, you have a great week. Remember, it's June 1st. 30 whole days to rank. Find out what your team, what their goal is. Find out what their list is. Look at the asterisks on their list. Those people that can take it to the moon, that's who you call first. That's who you get on. You get those 3 or 4 on, and you teach those 3 or 4 to do exactly the same thing. So, guys, you have a magnificent day, and I will chat with you soon. Have a good one. Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you, Becky. Appreciate